Hi, everyone. I'm Olalah Njenga, Chief Executive Officer of YellowWood Group. How I got started in business is not a glamorous story at all. It actually makes me cringe when I have to answer the question because most people have some fantastic story about their journey to entrepreneurship, and that was not the case for me at all. I got laid off from a big tech company and was fortunate enough to get a severance package. And part of that severance package included some outplacement services. So I go in one day to the outplacement center. They fix your resume and all this, and they give you these series of assessments. And then after a couple of weeks, I go in and they tell me that they want to see me in the back. And I have no idea who they is. And I didn't even know that there was a back. So I was a little scared, but they let me know that based on my assessments that they felt my strengths and talents were better served as an entrepreneur, which was kind of shocking to me and really actually made me very upset because I had been laid off. I had children to take care of and things of that nature. And so this was the first time I had really heard the word entrepreneur. In fact, I think what I said back was entrepreneur what? Because it was just so foreign to me. So up until that point, I had worked in the traditional workforce for almost 15 years. And so the idea of starting something on my own and building it and making a living doing that was not only just foreign, but it was so completely not even on my radar of understanding, because I didn't know anyone who ran a business or started a business or even started and failed a business. So that was quite a phenomenon for me. But as luck would have it, I am telling that story in the month of February. And so I have the privilege of saying, I'm still here. This is 19 years. February marks 19 years that I have run the company, and it is a consultancy. Now, it looks a little different than when it started out 19 years ago, but we do strategy development and aspirational strategic planning for both private sector and public sector agencies and entities. When I think about overcoming, there's some that are kind of generalized, like for women, and then there's some that are kind of generalized for minority business owners. So if I were to think about the ones that were really specific to me, the first would be credit. So I've cash flowed my company since the day it started. And so I never had the need to have outside funding or things of that nature. We had a pretty healthy cash reserve. And so when I wanted to expand for the second time, I really needed more money. So I reached out to get a loan, and I was denied the first time because I didn't have any credit. And so I didn't really understand, like, what do you mean, like, I'm being denied because I don't have any credit? And so it created this conundrum for me where it basically set me up for, so in order for you to give me money, I have to go out and borrow money to prove that I am borrowable and have enough integrity to pay it back. But the money that I have sitting in the bank right now is not enough to assure you that I can manage money. So that whole, like, not having credit, needing to get credit, that was quite a phenomenon for me, for someone who had, paid her own bills. The company was very cash flow positive. So it was just interesting to navigate that. And then being asked, like, well, would it help, if you asked your husband to go in with you on this loan? And I'm like, well, what is this, like the 1960s? So that was kind of interesting. Second would be a bit of sexism, or what I call sexism and stereotypes. In my profession, particularly management consulting as the large industry sector, but more specifically, business management and strategy development, it's a very white male dominated section of the industry to be in. And so normally when we think of, like, the lead strategist or the chief strategist, it's usually some, like, middle-aged white guy. They never expect, like, a 5'3" Black woman to be the chief strategist. And so I didn't really think about what a challenge that would be until a gentleman said to me, when asked about the type of work I do. And he looks at me in this kind of weird face and says, "I think you're too pretty to do something like that." And I just thought, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to imagine saying that to like a brain surgeon or an airplane pilot. Like, how do you say something like that to somebody? Like, you're too pretty to do what you do. That was interesting. And then thirdly, very specific to me and deeply personal, one of the biggest challenges for me to overcome is that I'm actually an introvert. I project like an extrovert, but thanks to lots of improvisation classes, I am a high functioning introvert, as I like to say. And that was a real challenge, particularly growing my company those first few years where you have to put in so much face time and people expect you to show up and do this and do that and volunteer and just, kind of the all of it. That was very overwhelming for me as an introvert. And so I was fortunate enough to be selected to participate in a program to learn improv for business professionals. And it didn't just change my business, it actually changed my life. And so if you're wondering why I always sound like an extrovert, it's because I've been taught well. So in terms of WIPP being a valuable resource, I think my story might be a little bit different than other people's story. What I have come to really value are the tiers of membership for WIPP. And so I kind of affectionately refer to them as you're able to come into WIPP at the most basic level and be informed. And then you're able to increase your investment in WIPP all the way up to fully involved, which would be that ambassador level. And depending on where you are in your business, what things matter to you from, let's say, like a legislative concern perspective, or even just being an informed business owner who also is an informed woman who's, an informed community leader, an informed business leader, you can move across the tiers and really engage at different levels of participation. So what's more interesting for me over the years is that I was a little overwhelmed when I first joined WIPP. There was a lot of information. I came in at that informed level, that kind of like entry point for WIPP. And I was a little overwhelmed because it was a lot of information. And then all of the women that I met all were either defense contractors or did some type of business with the government where it represented a substantial percentage of their company's revenue. And because I'm privately held and very much entrenched with private sector businesses, I felt really out of my league. Like I could have an intelligent conversation, and that wasn't so much the issue. I didn't necessarily feel like I was in the space of my peers. And it bothered me. And so I just kind of like laid low. And so then I got my bearings. I kind of whittled my way back and started asking different questions. And when I peeled back some of the answers, what I realized is if we are women in business, any type of legislative concern is a concern for every woman in business. And so I had to kind of get out of my own way and think like, well, just because I'm not a government contractor, WIPP is not a place for me, and really start looking at individual business ownership opportunities. Like if I have a challenge with employees, you have a challenge with employees, it doesn't matter what industry we're in, doesn't matter how we make our money. There's something to glean from all types of business owners, especially women in business. And so WIPP gave me an opportunity to kind of reset my own paradigms and to revisit what I was looking for in terms of allyship and what I was looking for in terms of real peers. And so that ability to move from informed to involved is a lot of the reason why I have such tremendous value in my membership with WIPP. And I would encourage any woman who is on the fence about leveling up her membership, just level up. Level up, become more involved, become more engaged, and let your WIPP sisters really get to know you better and have a real rich understanding about your business challenges and not just the challenges that exist specific to your industry. So that's been a real delight for me, is getting out of my own way and letting my WIPP membership really work for me.